Hey, welcome back to Resurgence YGO. Here we have Caleb Carlson taking 7th place at the Alliance Insight Sneak Peek. Go ahead and let them know who you are, what you played.
As Austin just alluded to, my name's Caleb. You'll notice me as being the host of our podcast, and I am the greatest rogue player that's ever lived. For the Alliance Insight Sneak Peek, where we got to play with new cards and whatnot, everybody was playing Malice or Ryziel or whatever, and I wanted to play some skeletons. So we thought it'd be kind of fun to, while I didn't perform the best, it's a good template, and it's entertaining. So, what do you think? You think I should just get right into it?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, so first off, got 3 of this guy. This is Moisa White. He's one of the new guys. On summon, he searches for any cards that mention Skull Servant, and then while he's on the board, you get an additional normal summon of a zombie. So he does zombie lock you if you search with him. So typically, while he is like one of the best cards in the deck, he's also really weird because he'll lock you out of some of the other combos that we'll discuss later. But he's definitely necessary, and he makes the deck what it is. The other card that makes the deck what it is, White Baking. This is, you'll recognize him as being a Master Duel mate. This card's absolutely insane. Has a hand effect where if a Skull Servant would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can pitch him from your hand instead. And when he's sent to the graveyard, he searches for 2 Skull Servants and then discards a card. Usually this is going to be one of your combo pieces, like Moisa or Lord or Whitemare. And then pitch a Prince as well to get multiple cards. But in some cases, if you're already gone through all your princes and stuff, you can add 2 combo pieces and then just like pitch a Mizuki from your hand or something. So, speaking of White Prince, that's the next card here. This is what makes the deck tick. This is what makes the deck at all playable. When it's sent to the graveyard, you pitch a Skull Servant and a Lady in White from your deck, and then when it's in the graveyard, you can banish it and 2 other Skull Servants to special summon the king from the deck. There's not a hard once per turn on this card whatsoever. So you can, if you can get 2-3 of these going, you're putting so many cards in your graveyard, and you can special summon king, and you just get infinite link material. Next combo piece here. This is a newer one. This is White Lord. I just found out this card's a super, and I need to pick him up because it's kind of disgusting right now. But anyway, this card's really crazy too. When you have a Skull Servant in the graveyard or a king in the graveyard already, you pitch him, and then you mill cards from the top of your deck equal to the number of Skull Servants in your grave. Typically, after you do a typical combo, you're milling 8-9 cards off this card, and that leads to some of the funny combo pieces that we have going on in here. Finally, the last kind of combo piece card is Whitemare. A lot of people don't play this, or they play 1 or 2 of it. I think this card's absolutely insane. You can pitch it from your hand to special summon a banished Lady in White or King of the Skull Servants that are banished, or return a Skull Servant from your banished into your graveyard. So he makes King bigger, but also not a hard once per turn on this card either. And so you get just so much link material. You can also special summon Lady, who has a relevant field effect. Last little piece. This is another combo piece. This is a new card as well. White Reanimator. This card gives the King Piercing, which the deck actually kind of lost to defense position monsters at some point. So much so that you played Pentastag for a little bit. Now you don't have to. The other thing is it zombie locks you, but you target a Skull Servant in your graveyard, send a Skull Servant with a different name from your deck to the graveyard, and then reborn that monster. Absolutely broken. It's absolutely crazy. If it didn't lock you, it would be bannable. Being able to target any of these guys, sending a Prince or sending a Baking, and then bringing it back, using the non-once per turn effect of Prince multiple times because of that, absolutely insane. Let's get these out of the way real quick. There's a lot of cards to go over here. Alright, so these are more like kind of tech cards or combo starters or just necessary bricks that you have to run. White Princess, a lot of people don't really like this card because they read that it doesn't affect Link monsters and they get really scared of it. This card's really crazy. Also non-once per turn on these cards. When it's normal or special summon, you send a prince from deck to grave. And then you can send it from hand or field to the graveyard to make all monsters on the field lose 300 times their rank or level. So that's relevant because you can normal summon Princess, send Prince, get your entire combo going really easily. Or you can normal summon this and get over really big monsters if you don't have access to King or your King's negated or something like that. The other thing is, just like how True Draco used to do back in the day, if your opponent attacks into Princess, you can go damage step, tribute the Princess, because it's an attack altering effect, and it will reduce everything, but it will also not cause a replay because it's happening in damage step. So in a pinch it comes up, but it's really just a necessary card. You don't want to see it too often, but it is probably one of the best normal summons in the deck by far. This is a card I would actually consider going up to 3 on. And then after that, I'm playing 2 Prince targets. So you have the OG Skull Servant, and there's nothing notable about him other than these are really pretty QCR. And then you have Lady in White. Lady in White is notable because while she's on the board, your Skull Servants or level 3 or lower zombies can't be destroyed by battle, and they're unaffected by spell and trap effects, other than her. So there are times, I mean, when I used to play this deck on Master Duel or something like that, and I was climbing through low ranks, I'd put a Lady in White out, put out the King at 18,000 attack. They would try to Magic Cylinder me or something, and it wouldn't go through. More notably, you know, makes your cards immune to Malice cards. You can't like Solemn Strike certain cards and things like that. It's relevant enough that it comes up. Usually if you have the extra body, it's nice to put this on board with your end board just to make sure that your cards, you know, you can't get lightning stormed or something. And then finally, the Big Daddy himself. I need to pick up rarity of this, but King of the Skull Servant is what makes this deck so scary. But this deck is tailor-made to go first. So usually going first, you're using this card as more link fodder than anything else. But going second, or going into turn 3 if you're able to survive, you can just normal summon a nice 12,000 attack monster. And you have so many ways of getting him. I didn't mention it earlier, but White Lord, when it's in the graveyard, you can banish it to reborn a Skull Servant or a King from the graveyard. You also have Mizukis and stuff like that. So even though you use this mostly for link fodder going first, going into turn 3, you can reborn him, and usually that's enough to just seal the game on the spot. If your opponent has an attack position monster or even a defense position monster with White Reanimator, you can just summon this guy, and usually he's big enough to just swing over something for game. That's all the Skull Servants. It's a pretty hefty engine. You'll notice I'm playing 60 cards. A lot of people only play like 1 or 2, or one and one of the Prince targets. It does tend to brick sometimes. You know, going into my last round, I drew a Skull Servant, a Lady in White, 2 other bricks that we'll get to later. It happens. That's a risk that you're playing with. But I think I've mitigated it with using those bricks as combo pieces. So after this, we have what I call the Zombie Slop. This is 3 Mizuki, 3 Shiranui Solitaire, and 2 Unizombie. You're going to notice when we get to the extra deck, I'm not playing a lot of synchros. You get zombie locked way too quickly in this deck nowadays, and there's really not any good zombie synchros that really make a difference. Solitaire is here for a combo that we'll talk about a little bit later, where you can mill it and then add it back off of the Duke of Demise, and then use an additional normal summon and get a Unizombie for an extra mill, or things like that. Mizuki, I usually sided out one of these going into games 2 and 3, just because this card's absolutely insane, but it is one of the hardest cards to get out of your hand. Without Unizombie, there's really not an easy way outside of Forbidden Droplet. And it's really awesome to hit off some of these mills, but it's like, without it, it's really difficult. So it doesn't do enough on its own, so I usually side out one, but it is still a necessary evil. Alright, after that we have some cards that I played for going first. So my theory when I was building this deck is incredibly scary going second, and it has so much gas. But my theory was if I win the die roll, I tell my opponent I'm going second, and then going into game 2, they want me to go first. I need to have a plan. So what I decided to go with is a go first strategy that then would pivot into going second in games 2 and 3, if need be. And this is one of the ways I did that. So 3 Necroworld Banshee, quick effect on field or grave, you banish it and then activate Zombie World from hand or deck. This card is an absolute house. It actually hoses a good amount of the meta. Things like Mitsurugi have a really hard time playing through this. Same with Malice, because they're type locked a lot of times, or not type locked, but more they need to have a certain type on field. Like Malice can't make a Lingaribo because all their monsters now are zombies and they don't have any Cyberse on board. Mitsurugi has a hard time activating their ritual spells because they have to tribute exactly reptiles. Things like that. So it doesn't really hose Ryziel that much, but you know, it is what it is. And then the Baylor Drock, this is a weird card. This is kind of a necessary evil as well, but you really have to hit it off a mill. There are certain times that you can get targeted mills with something like Unizombie or something, if you have everything in rotation, and then you can just summon, you can get Baylor Drock, but it's inconsistent at best. Best case scenario, you do have Zombie World and Baylor Drock on your board going into turn 2, and that's insane. But a lot of times you don't have the Baylor Drock, or you have the Baylor Drock and no Zombie World. So I wanted to play 4 copies of Zombie World without, making it mandatory, because I didn't want to load up on Zombie World itself because it doesn't do enough. With how much milling you have in this deck, the targeted mills with Unizombie can send a Necro World, or you can mill it off of any of the other mill ways. Alright, after that we have the Mimith Engine. Every deck is playing this, or something like that, I think. I'm only playing 2 cards. I'm not playing Tract. I'm not playing Lurie. I'm not playing Paradise. I'm only playing 1 Engraver, 1 Lacrima. We'll go over the combo in a little bit, but these 2 are bricks. Lacrima is a soft brick. Engraver is a hard brick. So Lacrima you can at least special summon out with Requiem. If you draw this, it's really hard to get the combo going. There are certain ways that you can do it. Unizombie can pitch it, or you can droplet it off, but or in a pinch, I've even used White Baking to send this from hand to grave. So it's really good when it goes off, but this is something I want to tweak with the deck and see if I can make it less bricky. And then I think this is the last engine I play Nemesis Engine. Because Prince is such a big combo piece and you're banishing cards all the time, you can make Colossus. That's pretty much it. It's notable because if you draw the flag, and this is the reason I play 3 flag instead of 3 corridor, if you draw the flag, it gives you a ton of link fodder. And it's not type restricted, so even if you're playing under Zombie World or something like that, it's not bad. Oh, nope, I have another engine. My bad. Last engine is going to be Horus. This is probably what I would keep in. This is the engine I would keep in the most. If I was going first or second. I never sided it out. Going second and drawing these cards, your opponent has to answer the King's Sarcophagus or the Imseti. That leads your Skull Servants with the ability to play through a lot more disruption. But also, if it doesn't go off, just summoning 2 big guys puts a lot of pressure on board. And then, of course, I'm playing the zombie vampire as well. So, more milling. Alright, that is all the monsters or engines, combo pieces, stuff like that. From there, there's a couple notable spells. You know, you got these three. Foolish Burial is 1-card combo, you know, sending baking or something like that. Same with 1-for-1. A lot of your cards that you draw want to be in the grave, and there's a lot of ways to get them in the grave through normal summoning and whatnot. Through your normal combo, you get 3 normal summons, but sometimes as well, you just want to pitch like a Prince or a Baking to get combos going. I will say this was bricky at some points where I just had too many monsters I wanted to get on the board. And I had to choose between, do I use White Lord or do I use 1-for-1? And sometimes I just had to set this. This card's obviously a house, 60 cards. This deck doesn't brick that often for being 60 cards, but grass is what is the payoff for it. I resolved it a few times today. Every time it's a huge blowout. Even if you're not getting 8,000 triggers off of it, you just get so much fodder in the grave, and then normal summoning the king with 24,000 attack is absolutely insane. After that, we got some staples here. I guess you can't really call these staples, but this is what I would consider non-engine. The only hand trap I play. I don't think this format really facilitates non-engine being the greatest, or at least hand traps being the greatest. I think that Malice, Mitsurugi, Mermail, and Memento all really play through hand traps really hard, easily, especially the hand traps like Imperm or Ash or Valor. And this deck, because there's not very many hard ones per turns, drawing cards is incredibly crazy. Droplet is also crazy because, like I said, a lot of cards in your hand like to be in the graveyard. And, you know, normal summoning a Prince or a Baking or something, trying to buy out a Negate or something like that, and then Droplet sending those cards, you're getting so much advantage off. And, yeah, I mean, it's absolutely crazy. So, that's the main deck. 60 cards, like I said. I didn't see too many bricks, or too many, like, bricky hands. Mostly, it came down to, like, I would draw too many normal summons, and I would get hand trapped at the weird time, or, like, I would draw any number of these 6 that, like, really don't do anything on their own, or something like the Fiendsmith cards, or I would, like, randomly draw a Necro World or something. So there's definitely the possibility of breaking. But through some of the supplementary engines, I think I've mitigated that risk a lot. So, going the extra deck, that's where a lot of this comes in. You have these 2 Link ones. Both of these functionally do the same thing. All Mirage is usually your combo starter. You're going to normal summon a Baking or a Prince, and you're going to link it off for All Mirage, get its effect, and then go to town from there. Anima is another version of that if you have to, like, special summon the Prince or something like that. Also, Anima comes up, you know, just for its effect as well. We're playing the Fiendsmith Engine. This is the entire Fiendsmith Engine. I guess I can pull out the other card too. Just to quickly go over what this engine does, let me pull out the... Alright, well, you're seeing the problem with 60 cards is it takes forever to search through. There they are. Alright, so your main bread and butter Fiendsmith combo is going to be getting 2 bodies on board and making Moon, obviously. You're going to link the Moon off for Lacrima. Lacrima effect to send the Engraver. And then from there getting another monster on board. That sounds like it might be weird to do, but with all the different engines you have, you can usually get another monster on board pretty fast. And then you make Sequence. Sequence then summons the Duke of Demise. And then I always summon back the Engraver before I do anything else, because usually what I'm summoning with Duke of Demise is actually the Moisa White. And then I can go to town from there, but I'm zombie locked at this point. So you can go from there and then do more stuff. But then you're overlaying these 2 for Pilgrim Reaper to mill 5 cards. Both players mill 5 cards. And then you can use Duke of Demise that if you mill like Solitaire or something like that, you can get the Duke of Demise effect to add the Solitaire back, normal summon the Moiso and go hard from there. So it's a really fun way of doing it, and it unclogs your hands and things like that. I think the upside far outweighs the 2 semi-hard bricks that you get. And yeah, it's really fun. Let's see here, what else? We got a Vendred Slayer. I made this card a few times. This is an interesting one. It takes 2 zombies to make, but when it attacks, you can send a zombie from deck to grave, and then the opponent's monster loses like 300 attack or something like that, because you're usually sending a Skull Servant. But in really weird scenarios, summon this, crashing into something, and then dumping a baking to get your king that's on the board as well. An extra like 4,000 attack is absolutely insane. And in a pinch, it can get combo started as well. It's probably one of the most cuttable cards in the extra deck, but I would never see cutting it. Playing Vampire Fascinator, Link 3 that when it's Link summoned, especially summons a zombie from your opponent's graveyard. If you have milled a zombie world with Necro World or something like that, or gotten a zombie world with Necro World, then this card turns on. Otherwise, it's really just a stepping stone. It's notable because if they ash you at some point, you can summon an ash off of this. But really, it's just a stepping stone to this card, Yukiona. This card's a house. It tells Malice to cease. It is a one-sided floodgate. Your opponent can't activate the effects of banished monsters. And then if a monster effect is activated in the graveyard, or a monster special summon from the graveyard, you basically target a monster on the field, and negates effects, makes attack 0. So, at 2,900 attack, Malice has a really hard time getting over this card without any non-engine. The goal of this deck is to make a solid turn 1 board that then turns into a crazy turn 3 push. So, that is the links. I'm playing 2 synchros. Like I said, Unizombie doesn't come up too often for synchroing, but if you do, you're usually making a Mortal Dragon. This sends a zombie to modulate its level, and it's a tuner in and of itself. So, you know, sending zombies is pretty crazy. And then the Felgrand here. This card is absolutely crazy. It's just not crazy enough. When it's summoned, you can banish a card from your opponent's graveyard. And then, what is it? It's like, if a monster is special summoned, you can target a monster on the field and negates effects. So, you don't really have a good way of summoning on your opponent's turn. And so that effect doesn't come up as disruption that much. The real reason you play this is actually because of Zombie Vampire. There are weird cases where you can Vampire Fascinator, take a monster from your opponent's graveyard, and then if you're able to get to the Felgrand, this is just a level 8. And then Zombie Vampire has the oft forgotten about text where if you're using a monster that your opponent owns, it counts as a level 8. So you can get to Zombie Vampire outside the Horus Engine that way. Went over Pilgrim Reaper a little bit earlier. This card also just gets big. It gains 200 attack for every dark monster in either player's graveyards. And then it mills 5 as well. That with Zombie Vampire are your 2 primary mill engines, uncontrolled milling, with White Lord as well. Also notable with Zombie Vampire is you can special summon the monster, one of the monsters that's milled. So earlier yesterday, I used it, milled a Lancia, special summon the Lancia, locked Malice out. Photon Lord, just because it's a good generic rank 8, if you don't need the mills, you can stop certain hand traps and things like that. There's not a lot of hand traps that actually hose you, but weird hand traps at weird times can do it. Finally, Colossus. Like I said, we're playing that Nemesis Corridor engine, and this just adds to a nice little endboard piece. So, like I said, the goal of this build was make a formidable turn 1 that could slow the opponent down to get to a turn 3, normal summon a king, attack for game. So, it's kind of sacrificed some of the flexibility that going second has, in order to do that. But I think that going second, this deck is so scary anyway that it doesn't really matter. Side deck, 2 Meows, 3 Lancia, 3 Droll, and then 3 Thrust. I did 3 Harpy's Feather Duster, and then Talents. Just a quick little thing, because I already know this deck profile's gone on long enough. I think this card's absolutely insane. I never want to see it against Malice. I'm never going to main this card this format. I think that it's maybe worth it to main, but for me specifically, I think my engine beats a lot of end boards. So I don't want to play non-engine unless it's actually a turn skip. Droll and Lockbird is a turn skip against Mitsurugi and Mermail. Lancia is turn skip against Malice, obviously, most of the time. And then if I had it my way, this side deck would actually be 3 Meows, 3 Perulia. I think the Mulch Armies are just absolutely goated this format. And, you know, then you'd play these as well. But I only own 2 Meows and no Perulias. So every card in this side deck actually put in mad amounts of work today. Thrust is in here. You'll notice I'm not playing any like crazy go first cards. And I would love to find a good trap that I can play in the main because I want to main this card. Your target for Thrust is Grass. And so going into a board going second, you can activate Thrust, grab Grass, go to town from there. I think these cards are decent this format, especially with back row and stuff running around. And then Talents is probably one of the best cards ever printed. So that's it. That's the whole deck profile. It performed really well. I was not expecting to do as well as I did yesterday, but I think there's a lot to really like about this deck, and I think that there's a lot more things I can go into it. I want to try and reduce some of the bricks in here, but as well, I mean, it's just fun to slap around a 18,000 attack King of the Skull Servants. So, yeah.
Nice. I think it needs to be said that it was a 45-person tournament, so that was pretty big.
Yeah.
That's, you know. Any other final notes you want the folks to know?
Not really. I played against a good amount of meta. I played against 2 Mitsu, 2 Malice. Played against a Dark World deck. And what else? Played against Dynamorpheus done. So I didn't go against the most crazy meta stuff, but I also didn't go against 12-year-old coughing babies. So I think this deck shows its potential. I think that there's a lot of innovation that can be done here. I don't think you should write off Skull Servant.
Nice. All right. Well, Caleb, thank you so much for the deck profile. This is Resurgence YGO signing off.